to my channel. My name is Brittany. This is the Brittany React Show. And on this show, we talk all things movies and entertainment. We have a really good lineup for you guys today. We're going to talk about the new Shrek trailer and the redesign and how are we feeling about that. We're going to talk about an interview that Kathleen Kennedy had with Variety talking about all the rumors that she's going to leave. She said some crazy things, so we're going to talk about that as well. But yeah, we're also going to do like a little bit of a sneak peek since this is Oscars day, so we're going to talk about a little bit about what we should expect at the Oscars. And we're going to talk about the Avengers Doomsday leaks. If you've seen any of those images, if you haven't, don't worry, I'm going to show them to you. So a little bit of a possible spoiler warning if you really don't want to know anything about Avengers Doomsday, but honestly, as much as these pictures show, we don't really know how that all comes together, so I think you'll still be fine. But we have actually a really exciting stream today. There's a lot of really good stories. I'm really excited to be back on a Sunday. Don't expect that next week because I actually have a show next week. But, thank God, I'm actually going to be done with the show that I'm in at the end of next week because this week is Tech Week and then I've got like this weekend and then next week are actual show weeks. So, in about 2 weeks, I'll be done with the show. And not only does that mean that we can go back to our regular scheduled programming and have shows on Sunday again, but I also really want to get back to like making some videos, but I haven't been able to with my job and doing a show. I literally just have had zero time. Like I wanted to edit out that Captain America review that I made, but I literally had no time to do it. So expect more content from me in about like 2-3 weeks. So yeah, how are you guys doing? Hi Action Packs, hi Will French, hi Donataz, hi Mitchell, hi Jojo, hi Gray for Harmony, hi Fake Mustache, hi Valerie, hi Evan, hi I think I saw Natanya. Yes, hi Natanya, hi Kassarim, hi DeBoy, hi Danny, hi Check Santo. And each and every one of you who's here, I see a lot of regulars. You guys are always here. I appreciate you. You're always paying attention to when I'm going to be live because, you know, it changes. So I appreciate you guys like really being on it and paying attention. I appreciate your loyalty a lot. So yes, let's get straight into the news. We do have some box office news to go over, just a little bit. But let's go into it. So I want to talk about first, let's do an update for Captain America. So, Captain America Brave New World crossed 340 million globally, while the film reportedly has a budget of 180 million. You guys know I don't believe that budget one bit. I believe that's the initial budget they wanted to spend on the movie. I do believe that. But that is not the total amount they actually ended up spending. Like, this is total spin on Marvel's part putting this 180 million number out there, but alright, whatever. Even if we do go with this $180 million number, which I don't believe at all, 340 million globally is still not great. Because you guys have to remember, the studios don't get to keep that whole amount. Like, some of that money has to go to theaters. Again, a lot of this stuff, you have to take into account marketing and everything like that. So this number, 340 million globally, is not enough really to even cover the $180 million budget. Not yet. So they did say that the break-even number would be 425, which I think again is another make-believe break-even number. But sure, let's just go with 425 for now. I'm actually wondering if it's even going to get to that. I mean, it's having really steep drops week to week. Word of mouth is not strong. It's at 340. It needs to get to 425 to break even. It might get to 425, but I don't think it's going to get, like, a lot past that. Like, I think it might just get to 425, and, like, that's about it. I think for a Captain America movie, that's really bad. This is supposed to be a really, like, one of Marvel's biggest properties, biggest characters. They had the Captain America shield in, like, every single poster. Like, the shield is iconic. Everyone recognizes that shield. So for Marvel to not be able to like pull in a huge audience with the Captain America film, I think spells not good things for the rest of this year. We'll see how things go. Like I've been saying, I still think there's hope for Fantastic Four simply because it's so separate from everything else. But I have a lot of concerns about Thunderbolts. I know some of you are very like confident that Thunderbolts is going to be a hit. I am not nearly that confident. For me, I'm like, again, thinking from an average film goer's perspective, if I'm not willing to go see Captain America, who's like a much more well-known character than any of the characters in Thunderbolts, why would I go see Thunderbolts? Like, I don't think there's that many people out there that are like, no to Captain America, but yes to Thunderbolts. You know what I mean? Maybe some diehard comic book fans, but that's actually the minority of the audience that goes to see these movies. So, I don't know. I think this is very bad. I think this is weak for Marvel. I think this is weak for Captain America. I think this is also weak for Anthony Mackie. I do like Anthony Mackie as a person. He seems like a nice guy. However, as I said in my review, I don't think that he has like leading man charisma. So I do think that's also hurting him. Hi, Nicholas. Danny says, I'll still just wait to stream it on Disney+. Honestly, I think this is a good Disney Plus movie. This is not a film I would say you really need to see in theaters, but on Disney+, I think it's an okay time. Donata says, the only thing in the MCU that I'm actually looking forward to is Daredevil. We're going to talk about Daredevil a little bit later on. That's another thing I think also has some potential for success. Although, the thing that we're going to talk about is the fact that the season's so short, which I didn't realize, so I'm a little upset about that. But I do think Daredevil could be a hit as well, potentially. Are you guys surprised by this result? Did you think Captain America would make more or less? Do you think this number is warranted, or do you think it's being too unfairly judged? Be honest. I want to hear all perspectives here. Christian says, still haven't seen it yet. I might finally make a decision whether or not to see this week because my sister's B-Day is soon and she loves Captain America in general. Yeah, I mean, if your sister really loves Captain America, she might like this film. I do know someone who is a really big Marvel fan and she really liked it. So some people do like this movie, but I just have to be honest about how I felt about it. Fake Mustache says, I thought it wouldn't reach 100 million. Oh, wow. Like, globally? Dang, I wasn't even that pessimistic. Like, I was thinking optimistically this film would do, like, honestly, like, I was thinking, like, 500 millions, like, in that range. That was me thinking optimistically. So the fact that it's not even going to get to that range is pretty bad. Mitchell says, I've lost so much interest in the MCU. You know what? I have to say the same. Although, we're going to talk about the Doomsday leaks, and they're actually reigniting my interest. Like, I'm that impressed by the art designs and the leaks that we just got. Again, if you haven't seen them, we're going to go over them. But yeah, I mean, I've been reviewing, like, every Marvel thing that's come out since I've made this channel, and you guys know that I haven't really liked most of the stuff that I've seen. The only thing, honestly, since Endgame, like, we can go back that far, the only Marvel things I've actually genuinely enjoyed, like TV and movies, since Endgame, are the 2 Spider-Man movies we've gotten. I even like the second Spider-Man movie, which people hate on, but I liked it. Obviously, I loved WandaVision. That's been like my favorite thing since the 2020s. I loved Guardians 3. I liked but didn't love Loki, but I did think that it was a strong show overall. God, I think that's it. Since 2019, y'all. That's like all I can say that I've genuinely like really enjoyed. That's it. Everything else I think has been either just really weak or like outright bad. I'm talking like Quantumania, Eternals, this Captain America 4 movie, the Marvels, even Black Widow I thought was weak. Honestly, I don't think it was terrible, but I do think it was weak. So yeah, I know the TV shows, most of the TV shows have been a miss for me, like complete total chop. So yeah, I have to say my interest in MCU has been waning simply just because I haven't been enjoying most of what I've seen. But I'm starting to get excited for Doomsday based off the leaks, and we'll go over that soon. Oh yeah, Agatha all along. Thank you, HP. I forgot about that one. Also loved Agatha. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next thing. So, looking ahead to the future. So, Snow White is on track to earn a solid $53 million in its domestic box office opening weekend. The film, again, this is another, you're just going to have to go with it. The film had a $200 million budget. The reason why I say just go with it is because, like Captain America 4, this is another movie that had a lot of reshoots after the big backlash for those, like, I don't know, hippie bandit characters that we saw. Like, they went back and reshot a bunch of stuff, redid a bunch of stuff. Those CGI dwarves, as terrible as they look, do not look cheap. So I again think this budget is optimistic. I don't think this is likely accurate at all, but let's just go with it. Even still, if we just took this as at face value and said, okay, it cost $200 million. A $53 million domestic box office opening is terrible for something that costs that much. Even on the surface, when you are as generous as you can be with this movie, that's really bad. That's the lowest opening, other than Mulan, which went to Disney Plus. That's the lowest opening for like a Disney Princess live action reboot since they've been making these live action reboot movies. So that's really, really bad. And Mulan has not just Disney Plus, but also COVID to blame. Because didn't they do like a multi-release for Mulan? I know that was definitely like a COVID movie, so I don't count that one, even though that movie also was terrible. So 53 million domestic opening. I think this movie will hurt both Rachel Zegler's and Gal Gadot's careers. I think this will take potentially both of them out. I have been seeing, and we did talk about this in my last stream, but I think Rachel Zegler is I think she's clearly talked to some PR people. She's clearly like in a much better, like, I would say more PR ready. Like, whenever she's on like an interview or whatever, she's a lot chiller. She's not saying a lot of incendiary stuff like she used to. I feel like she has gone through the PR class of like what to say, what not to say, because she's finally acting like she actually wants a career. Because for a minute there, she just was not acting like that. I really think that Rachel Zegler was just in this mindset that everyone agreed with her, and the only people that didn't were like irrelevant. And I think now, especially post-election, maybe she's realizing that her viewpoints definitely do not represent the majority. So, yeah, I think that she's trying to turn a new leaf, at least recently, but I think it's too late. I think the damage has been done. And I think a lot of people are staying home from this movie. Because I don't think the movie looks very good. I think the trailers are very weak. As I've said repeatedly, I think the dwarves look awful. Honestly, I think the worst thing in this movie are the dwarves. The dwarves look really, really bad to me. Also, I mean, Gal Gadot. I mean, there's already been lots of jokes about her acting in this very movie. I think, like I said, I think Gal Gadot is going to take a hit from this movie just because I think people are going to turn her into a joke. I think this movie is going to turn her into a joke. I mean, if the Kal-El No didn't do it, I think this movie's going to do it. Just from the little bits of acting that we've seen from her, I think this movie will finally, like, do her in. So I think this is a disaster, just waiting to happen. I will be reviewing it, though. So if you want to see my thoughts, make sure you subscribe. So I will be talking about it. And I think that this movie looks like it should have come out in 2020, not 2025, if you know what I mean. Like, I feel like the world this movie was made for doesn't exist. And I think that a lot of those choices are going to be torn to shred in the actual movie, especially since I think they got rid of Snow White's iconic song. Like, the iconic, so iconic that it kind of became one of Disney's, like, overall theme songs. Just because it was about her pining for a man. Which, I honestly, when I get back to making videos again, I think I want to make a video about why Disney suddenly thinks that like romance is sexist, and apparently people like Rachel Zegler think it's sexist, because that was one of the things she talked about on the red carpet, was about how like, oh, she doesn't need no man, basically. And I'm just like, one of the reasons these princess movies used to work so well is because of the relationship between the princess and the prince. I feel like Disney needs to get back to that. There's nothing wrong with having a bit of romance in the movie. It doesn't make your character weak. In fact, it can make them more interesting if they're able to find the capacity to love despite their shortcomings. I feel like that's much more interesting and makes a much more compelling, interesting character than just, oh, I don't need no man because I'm some girl boss that, you know, you can't tell me what to do, which is, it seems like that's what they've turned Snow White into in this movie. And I don't think most people are interested in that version of this character, which is one of the many reasons I think this movie is destined to flop. But what do you guys think about this opening? Is this more than you expected? Less than you expected? Do you think it'll be a surprise hit? What are your thoughts? Oh, Vincent says you prefer Evil Queen over Lord Farquaad? That's interesting. You know what? I think Rachel Zegler, I've talked about this before, but I think Rachel Zegler's hairstyle in this looks terrible. I think this poster makes it look the best, but actually in the movie, like in the trailer, her hair looks terrible. She kind of looks like Lord Farquaad in the movie. I'm not gonna lie. I think the hair is not flattering on her. Yeah, Natanya says we haven't had a good romance since Tangled. And look at how popular Eugene Fitzherbert is. Everyone loves that guy. Everyone does. And that, I don't think that makes Rapunzel a weak character for having a prince that she falls in love with. In fact, I think that makes the movie is so much more interesting and compelling. And the show, the Rapunzel spin-off show, that relationship is so good. It's so compelling. I really feel like if Disney wants to turn things around for them, especially in like the Disney princess department, which has kind of been floundering lately, I think they need to go back to the recipe. I think they need to stop trying to do this subverting expectations, trying to modernize things. I think they got to stop all of that. It used to be fresh. Like when they first started doing it with like the first Frozen movie, like that was interesting and fresh when they did it back in like 2013, was it? That was interesting and fresh back then because that was new, but now they've been doing this trope of like, oh, it's not about relationships. Oh, we're just going to have a bunch of badass girl boss women all the time. They've been doing this trope since like 2013 now, and it's no longer fresh, interesting, new, or wanted, I think, by the majority. I think there's a hunger to go back to like traditional Disney princess movies. When I say traditional, I mean a girly princess who likes being a princess, and I say that only because in Moana 2, Moana had to make it clear that she's not a princess. You can't call her a princess. And I'm like, no, I want a princess movie where like the princess likes being a princess, or at least explicitly states that she is a princess, like a proper princess, not like, oh, she's the son of the chief or whatever, so she's kind of a princess. I mean, like, explicitly make them a princess. And on top of that, I want a relationship. I want a prince. We haven't had a good prince in forever. Because apparently princes are like not like progressive enough or whatever. I want a good prince. I want a good villain. Bring back a really good nasty villain. And I think maybe you could have a future hit. Like, I feel like they've got to stop this subverting of expectations, because it's no longer subverting expectations, because that's what we expect now. They've made it the norm, so it's no longer different or fresh or interesting. And I feel like what would be more fresh and interesting is actually just going back to tradition at this point, because they haven't done that in so long. And I think, or at least I'm hoping, with this movie flopping, I'm hoping that this makes more people, or at least makes Disney think, okay, maybe we should stop making movies like this. That's what I'm hoping. That's the lesson I'll get from this, but who knows? Who knows? Yeah, Philly Man says you agree, you want the classic stuff. Mitchell says they have to please the feminists. I don't even think a lot of feminists even want this. Like, I consider myself to be someone who, like, obviously as a woman, I want women to be equal to men and all of that. Like, I'm not against female empowerment. I just think that how Disney does it is very patronizing and actually hurts the story more often than not. And which is why I'm against it. Or at least how they do it. I hate the girl boss trope. Hate it. It's like one of my least favorite common tropes in Hollywood currently. Leo Galaxy says, going back to tradition, how about finding brand new tropes? But they keep trying to do these new tropes. It's not working. That's why I think we should try to go back to tradition at least for one movie just to see how that works. Cheetah Viper says, as a woman, I'm missing love stories. Exactly. Cindy says feminists can still have taste. Exactly. I'm just a feminist with taste, and I hate the girl boss stories because they ruin like almost every movie. And it's just boring. Like, most women aren't girl bosses. Like, we're complex, dynamic people with issues and flaws like everyone else. And I wish that we would, or at least Disney specifically, would go back to portraying these characters as such. But anyway, that's, again, why I can make a whole video about that. Let's move on to actual entertainment news. So, like I said, I want to talk about the leaks. The leaks for Avengers Doomsday. And I think these leaks are really fascinating. So fascinating. I'm with this person with that. I actually think maybe these leaks were intentional. Because I have not seen this much hype and interest in even just particularly this movie, Doomsday, since these leaks have come out. Like, I was honestly wondering, I was like, an Avengers movie is coming out next year, and there's, like, no hype for it. At least before these images came out. And that was a first. Because do you guys remember the hype for Endgame and Infinity War? Heck, even Age of Ultron had hype. Like, that wasn't even a good movie. But it had hype going into it. Like, I really wasn't feeling the interest in this Avengers movie so much so that I was actually starting to wonder what would happen if an Avengers movie disappointed. I wasn't prepared to say flop yet because the idea of an Avengers movie flopping, like, I just couldn't imagine it. But I was wondering, like, what if it just severely disappointed? Like, maybe just barely made $1 billion, but, like, not much more than that, which would be a disappointment for this kind of film. I was honestly thinking that was likely going to be the case the way things were going. However, after seeing these leaks, I'm now a lot more hopeful that this movie actually could be good. And here's why. So let's just go through the images and let's see what we've got so far. So one of the things that I am actually really into is this sort of medieval aesthetic, I guess. It seems like for some reason we're in some sort of parallel universe, because, you know, this is a multiverse story, where, like, Robert Downey Jr. as Doomsday is king, and the world is, like, in this medieval era aesthetic. Maybe it actually is medieval times for whatever parallel universe they're in. I don't know. But I think it looks really cool. I think it looks very different than what we're used to from Marvel movies. I think Doomsday himself looks really, or Doctor Doom, I'm sorry, Doctor Doom looks really, really cool. I don't know, I'm really into the medieval aesthetic. I think it looks really dope. Also, again, he just looks really cool. I think I've seen a lot of people, like, be all mad that RDJ is going to play him, but honestly, I feel like I've warmed up to that idea, and now I'm really looking forward to seeing his take on this character. So I'm here for RDJ at this point. But this was another image that I found to be very interesting for a number of reasons. Not only are we still in, like, this sort of medieval aesthetic, which I think is cool, but firstly, we see Bruce Banner here as Hulk. So we've got Hulk back, and he's, like, ripped and looking like some super Chad again. And I'm like, yes, no more weak, fuzzy sweater Bruce Banner Hulk. Like, I'm tired of that. I want cool, badass Hulk again. And this looks like badass Hulk. So maybe we'll actually get to see Hulk smash in this and not talk about his feelings and going to therapy. Like, I just want to see Hulk being like a menacing, strong, I want to smash everything badass. And this is what looks like they're doing with him again. So I'm happy about that. Firstly. And then of course we have She-Hulk here, which I was not a huge fan of the She-Hulk TV show. I didn't think it was very good at all. And honestly, I'm very surprised that they would have invited Tatiana Maslany back after, if you guys remember, during the strike, Tatiana Maslany was out on the picket lines like almost every day, and she was even interviewed on camera basically saying, fuck you, Bob Iger, like saying all this mean stuff about Bob Iger on record, on camera. And when she said all that, I was like, oh, so we're never seeing She-Hulk again, because you can't like talk about the boss that way and then get to keep your job. But I guess she is. I really didn't think we were ever going to see her again, or if we did see She-Hulk, they were going to recast her. So this is surprising. I'm surprised to see her here. She does look good though. I will say, she does look very good. I'm not sold by this character, I have to say, because I didn't like her show. So as far as like, am I happy she's here? She has some work to do to like win me over in this movie. I'm not gonna lie. But then we also get this dude. We get this dude who I think, I'm not totally sure, but I think this is that same Hulk dude from She-Hulk, the one that had like the pink shirt on and like the weird buzz cut, half hair, whatever the heck that design was. I think this is the same dude. And if it is, they actually made him buff and cool. How awesome is that? If this is the same dude, this means Marvel's actually listening to their fans, because no one wants soft sweater, pink shirt Hulks. Like, who wants that? We want Hulk smash, okay? Maybe us girls want like the big broad chest, okay? Like, that's what we want. So I'm just, I like this image a lot, because to me it seems like maybe Marvel's actually listening to fans. Yeah, so Arvin says this is Hulk's son. So this is the same character. That's great. This redesign totally works for me. Now the Shrek redesigns, we're going to talk about that later. But this redesign, this works for me completely, because it says, we heard you, we're listening, and we're actually fixing our ish. Because this is great. Are you guys excited by these Hulks here? Do you care about the Hulks at all? What are your thoughts? Mitchell says completely forgot he had a kid. Yeah, maybe they kind of want you to forget that, because his initial entrance was not good. Oh, Jay didn't even know this. Yeah, I guess if you didn't watch She-Hulk, you didn't know that he has a son. Oh my god, Angel didn't know this either? Wow. I guess this is why they can change the character, since not a lot of people even like watch She-Hulk to begin with. But trust me, he used to look terrible. Jay says, I'm worried about the colors. It looks so depressing. Yeah, it does. But these, for whatever reason, the Russo brothers really like their toned down colors, their murky grays and browns. That's like my least favorite thing about their work. I don't understand it. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of color. I hate this desaturated trend that's going on in Hollywood right now. I think it's taking away a lot of whimsy and fun from a lot of movies that could use it. Thankfully, that didn't ruin Wicked for me, but that was my biggest issue with that film, was how it looked. So yeah, I don't like the coloring either, but these are just concept art, so maybe the actual movie will look different. Rob says, slow down, Britt. This is still probably a comedic scene. Yeah, you're right. I am reading a lot into this picture. I am. You're totally right. I could be very wrong about this entire thing. Maybe they're just cracking wise jokes this entire scene. I have no idea. But they look tough and cool, which is what I'm happy about. They at least have the aesthetic down. But anyway, let's go to the next image. And then we have Black Panther? Question mark? Because I don't know who this dude is, and obviously we don't have an adult male Black Panther currently due to the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman. And I liked Black Panther 2 more than most, apparently. A lot of you guys say you hated that movie, but I feel like I'm in the minority and that I actually liked Black Panther 2 more than 1, just because I love Shuri as a character so much, and I really, related to her. So I'm a little bummed that it's not Shuri in this picture, but at the same time, from, a business perspective, I understand why it's not, because people really liked having the dude there, not the woman. So I get that, but I'm also like, who the heck is this? Because we don't have a adult male Black Panther, so they're gonna have to find someone new for this movie. This is the one thing that I was kind of questioning, to be honest. This was the only still that I was like, I don't know about this, because I feel like this, to get to this point, you're gonna have to come up with some really convoluted story to explain this. So I'm a little nervous about this. But at least that Black Panther will be included in some capacity, in some capacity. Because I really like Wakanda. I really like that world. I want them to keep going with it. We better get a Black Panther 3. You know what? I'm gonna be pissed if we got a trilogy of Ant-Man movies for some reason, but we don't get a full trilogy for Black Panther, even when they're way more successful and more critically loved. I'm gonna be pissed about that. Because I never understood why Kevin Feige was so dead set on giving Ant-Man a trilogy when, even during the most, Marvel's most hyped era, right before Endgame, Ant-Man 2 still didn't do that well, comparatively. So I never understood why, they kept going and made an entire trilogy with Ant-Man. But if they don't finish the trilogy with Black Panther, I'm gonna be pissed. Because, why would you give Ant-Man that treatment but not Black Panther? But anyway. This is the one thing that I was a little iffy about. But there's more pictures. There's more. So apparently we're also getting the Young Avengers. Because there's this image here of the Young Avengers hanging out. We get to see Wiccan and Speed. So we have both of Wanda's children here, which is interesting. You see Miss Marvel is on the corner on the right-hand side. This right here. I love Miss Marvel. I really liked her. I thought she was the best thing in the Marvels. Really the only thing I liked in the Marvels. So I'm happy to see her here. I'm glad that she's back. I was a little worried because I was like, I know that movie flopped, but I wanted more Miss Marvel. So I'm glad that she's here. You know who I'm not happy who's here? Cassie Lang. I did not like this new actress they got to play Cassie Lang. Actually, at all. Do you guys remember the actress they used in Endgame? She only had one scene when she reunited with Scott. And I thought that actress had more pathos, more depth, and just was generally a better actress than the Cassie Lang, the new actress they got for Quantumania. I did not like this version of the character at all. I thought she was whining, entitled, and annoying. And she was one of the reasons I didn't like Quantumania. So Cassie was someone that didn't need to be here. I didn't like her character, or I should say this actress's version of this character. Because I liked Cassie in Endgame. I did not like her at all in Quantumania. Largely because of the actress and how they wrote her. And then we have Haley Steinfeld, who, again, is she kind of makes me feel good. Because Haley Steinfeld and I are the exact same age. And yet she's part of the Young Avengers. So I'm like, oh, I could be part of the Young Avengers. Oh, that's so nice. But anyway, I do feel like she's a little bit too old for this table. But I mean, Haley Steinfeld's okay. I thought she was okay in Hawkeye. She didn't, blow me away or anything, I'm gonna be honest. But I thought she was okay. She's fine. But Star-Lord! I love that Star-Lord is here. I really like Star-Lord. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of the Guardians. And this isn't the only photo that Star-Lord is in, which makes me think that he actually has a big role in this movie. And I'm very happy about that. And then if you guys can kind of see in this corner here, we have Juan. We haven't seen Juan since She-Hulk, so I'm happy Juan's here. I'm hoping Madison comes, because I liked Madison. I'm hoping, Wong shows up with her. That'd be amazing. I would be happy with that. But yeah. Anyway, are you guys excited to see the Young Avengers here? Are you even excited by this team? Are you excited to see that they're going to be in this movie? What are your thoughts? Rob says, isn't Kamala supposed to be starting the, or is it Kamala? No, I'm like getting the Kamalas mixed up. So, Miss Marvel, the pronunciation is Kamala, right? Not Kamala. I'm thinking Kamala Harris. I'm going to say Kamala. Isn't Kamala supposed to be starting the X-Men? Maybe, but I always thought that was a dumb idea, so maybe they're backtracking that. I think she's a much better fit for the Young Avengers, so I'm hoping they do that instead. Yay, Arvin likes Team Madison as well. Yay. I really hope she's in this movie. That would make my day. Denisha says boring characters. You know, I will say that I do think this table is like minus Wong and Peter Quill. This is very much the Disney Plus table, which, as we know, the Disney Plus strategy has not been the most successful. So, as Jay calls it, Avengers at babysitting. That's very funny. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, maybe they don't have a huge role in this movie just because most of these characters are unknown to the vast majority of the audience, because they were introduced in Disney Plus shows. Or besides Cassie, I guess, but, like, I don't like Cassie. She's really the only character at this table that I, like, actively don't like. But anyway, I can see, like, maybe this not being the most exciting part for, like, most people. I can see that. Oh yeah, Rob says, where's Shang-Chi? He hasn't been in any of these images. I wonder if they're not going to let him be in this because China hates him so much. I wonder if that's why he's not in this. Because, like, I don't think he's a big enough character to hide him to be a surprise. I don't think that makes sense. So maybe he's just not in one of these photos that got out, or maybe he's just not in the movie. I'm not sure. Also, they didn't show Wanda either. But they show her kids and they showed Vision, which I believe is the next photo. No. Okay, this is the next photo, yeah. So we get a picture here of White Vision with Star-Lord. So we've got White Vision and we've got Wanda's kids. I feel like Wanda has to show up in this movie. She has to. How can you have, like, all her supporting characters and then not her? Wanda, I do feel like, is a big enough character and has been requested enough that they could hide her for a surprise. I can see that. I'm hoping that, at least, because I don't think it makes sense for her not to be in this movie otherwise. Will says, I hope Wanda is in this. She's my favorite. Yeah, same. Yes, we're going to talk about the Minecraft trailer fake mustache as well. Donatas says, from what it seems like, Cassie Lang and Kate Bishop are the adults in the team, while Wiccan and Miss Marvel are, like, the younger ones. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because I think the actress that plays Cassie Lang is, like, the same age as Haley Steinfeld, right? Like, they're, like, late 20s, and the rest is, like, early 20s. So, yeah, I do think maybe that's what they're doing with this. I don't know. But then Florence Pugh is also late 20s. Why is she not part of the Young Avengers? That doesn't make sense to me either. But anyway. Angel Barrera. Thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. And the question, I gotta like the question because thank you. You're bringing the real questions. I appreciate it. So, the most important question about all of this is, where's Harry Styles? Totally agree. I don't know. Where is he? We haven't seen him since his end credit scene in Eternals. And, like, they really hyped him up too, and, like, we haven't seen him since. Is he not even gonna be in this? I don't know. Like, what was the point of teasing Harry and then being like, oh, never mind? Because I gotta be honest, even though the end credit scene wasn't that long, his appearance in that scene was the most talked about thing of that whole movie. Like, his one cameo overshadowed the whole film. A, because it wasn't a good film, but also B, because Harry's a big star. So, I don't know. They need to bring back Star Fox. I totally agree. He should be here. If Star-Lord's here, they should bring Star Fox for sure. Thank you for that question. Very, very important that we address that. But anyway, what are your thoughts on all of these images that we've gone over so far? Do they make you more or less excited for Avengers Doomsday? For me, I have to say they make me a lot more excited. And the reason is because this looks like a fully thought through movie. Like, everything from the medieval aesthetic to like the characters that are there and how they're grouped together. This is reminding me of Infinity War, of Endgame. This is reminding me of like a really good fantasy epic. And that's why I'm getting excited, because I'm like, oh, this actually looks like they took time to like formulate something good here. This doesn't just look like a lazy cash grab or like a script that was thrown together and stuff is just happening like in Captain America 4. Like, this looks like a really solid movie. You know what I mean? Like, it looks like a movie. So I'm actually getting excited about this, but what are your thoughts? Does this excite you at all, or you're just still like, I don't care? Wait, Denisha, Brittany, have you heard Disney is actually done with Eternals? No more Eternals? I don't know. I've heard so many rumors about Eternals. I've heard that they're done. I've heard that there's still going to be a sequel. I don't know what to believe at this point. I don't think they even know what they're fully doing with Eternals. But that would be so frustrating if, like, the one thing Harry was in, like, they just decided to cut. That would be very frustrating. Nick says, I feel like I'm much more curious. Okay, Sunset says it looks interesting. Arvin says, I'm excited, but I'm worried about the execution because they need time to produce a good visual movie. Yeah, that's a good point, because you're right. They start filming in April. This movie comes out next year. For me, I feel like that's a tight turnaround for an Avengers movie. So that does make me worried that, like, they might have the vision, but you're right, the execution is really the most important part. So yeah, a little nervous about that. Will says, I'll have to watch Endgame to catch up. The only Avengers movie I haven't seen. You haven't seen Endgame? So you're just not into Marvel. Because I feel like you can't be into Marvel movies and not seen that film. Which is fine. But yeah, I definitely think Endgame will be required viewing for sure. Jay, you're neutral. Okay, Valerie, you're skeptical about the humor. Yeah. I think the Russo brothers their humor can be a little sus sometimes. The script has been written, Sunset. At least according to what they've told us. But anyway, I think this looks actually interesting. So I'm kind of excited by these images. I am. All right, let's move on. So like I said, I did want to talk briefly about Daredevil Born Again, because I did not realize that season 1 would only be 9 episodes long. That is so short. So short. I mean, do you guys remember, this is the second version of Daredevil that we're getting, because remember they had started filming a different version and then they realized that wasn't working and then they started over. The original version that they were working on was going to be like some 18 episodes or something like that, like a full, like, long season. So not only did they change everything about the plot, which I'm actually okay with, but they also made the season about half as long, which I'm not super happy about. I mean, on Netflix, weren't the shows usually like about 13 episodes or something like that? So this is a little bit shorter, especially season 2 is a lot shorter than like how long these seasons usually run. And I feel like if these seasons are going to be so short, the episodes better be really long. I want to see like hour-long episodes minimum. If these are just 9 episodes of 30-minute, like 30-minute episodes, I feel like that's going to be really annoying, and I don't think fans are going to appreciate that. So if the season's going to be this short, the episodes better be extremely long. That's all I'm saying. Does this make you more or less excited for the show, or do you not care? Um, Rob says, aren't Disney shows usually like 6 episodes or something? I do think, unfortunately, this is maybe slightly longer than some shows, but honestly, I think Disney Plus in general, a lot of their seasons are just too short. Um, Donata says, a part of me thinks that they may have taken the green light for those 18 episodes and just split them up into 2 seasons. But this is a whole new different version of the show that they were going to do when they were doing 18 episodes. So I don't think that's what's happening here. Oh, Zach says the episodes are 50 minutes to an hour and a half. Has that been confirmed? Because I did not see that. If that's true, that's great. Then I'm okay with the season being short. I was just really worried that they were going to go the traditional Disney Plus route and just make these like 30-minute episodes, and I was going to be pissed. But if they're actually long, then I'm okay with this. Then I'm very okay with this. Also, what I'm okay with this, or okay with, is a new Punisher show. I love Punisher. Well, not a show. It's a special presentation. But I really like Jon Bernthal. He's like one of my favorite actors working. I love everything that he's in. He was one of my favorite characters in the Daredevil show. I loved his relationship with Karen Page. I hope they explore that a bit more again. Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I don't know what the special presentation is going to be. If it's just going to be like a 1 episode thing, or I don't know. But I'm really into this. I really like Jon Bernthal. I like the Punisher character, so I think this is exciting. Would you guys watch a Punisher show? Honestly, I'm a little surprised that they're even doing it. Because I remember several years ago, I think it's either Kevin Feige or someone within Marvel was like, how they viewed Punisher as a problem, as like a problematic character, because they thought like people with a different political opinion supported him. So I'm surprised that they're even doing anything with Punisher, because I thought that they viewed him as like a problematic character. So I'm a little surprised by this, actually. And again, I think this shows how Marvel is definitely moving in a different direction now. Tanisha says, why they just can't call it anthology series instead of dead calling it a TV show. Dead calling it? It's not a TV show if it's only 6 to 10 episodes. It's like that's just the norm, unfortunately. I don't like it, but that is the norm now. But anyway, doesn't seem like too many people are all that excited about Punisher, so let's move on. So yes, let's talk about Kathleen Kennedy, because on my last episode, I did talk about how it had been broken by Puck News, who is run by Matt Belloni. I've talked about them before. They are usually quite reputable, which is why all the trades ran with this story after Puck broke the news that apparently Kathleen Kennedy was going to leave Lucasfilm at the end of 2025. That was at least the story at the time. Kathleen Kennedy said, nah, not on my watch. I control the narrative. So let me go to Deadline and do this interview, get my piece out there, and remind people of who's the real boss here. Because that's essentially what she did. So, I'm just going to read this statement here that she said. This one statement, not the whole interview. So Deadline asked, we've read all these speculative reports that you are out and that there's a frenzy for the next person who's going to take over Lucasfilm. What is the truth? This is what she said. The truth is, and I want to say this loud and clear, I am not retiring. I will never retire from movies. I will die. She's going to die, y'all. She's going to die making movies. This is the first thing that's important to us. I am not retiring. What's happening at Lucasfilm is I've been talking for quite some time, well, I'm sure, with Bob and Alan about what eventual succession might look like. We have an amazing bunch of people here, and we have every intention to making an announcement months or a year down the road. So this is a loaded statement, a very loaded statement, to the point where I kind of want to break it down almost by sentence, because there's a lot of subtext here and a lot that she's kind of saying but not saying. So here's how I interpret this statement here. So, firstly, when she says, the truth is, I want to say just loud and clear, I am not retiring. I will never retire from making movies. The original report wasn't that she was retiring from movies. It was that she was specifically retiring from Lucasfilm, not that she just had to stop making movies entirely. So I do feel like this right here is a bit of tricky wording to, like, get around what the actual rumor is without directly addressing it, because that's not what the rumor said. It was never about she was just done making movies, period. It was just she was done at making Lucasfilm movies. So I think that's an important thing to note here. And then she said, oh, she's going to die making movies, which is funny. That is the first thing that's important to me. I am not retiring. What's happening at Lucasfilm? Okay, listen to this. What's happening at Lucasfilm is I have been talking for quite some time with Bob and Alan about what eventual succession might look like. Here's why I think this is the most important part of this entire article. Because what she's basically trying to say here is that I, and only I, control when I leave. She's like, yes, I've been having conversations for quite some time with Bob and Alan about my succession plans. That's true. Which I feel like is corporate spin for, yes, Bob and Alan have been trying to get me out for quite some time, but I have been communicating with them about what my succession plans will look like, because only I get to say when I leave. That's, I feel like, what she's really saying here in that very loaded statement. And the reason why I think that is because she's saying here, I've been talking for quite some time about the succession plan. And I'm thinking, so that means Bob and Alan being, or at least who used to be the head of Disney. I thought he left. Is he back? Of not Disney, but of like the movie division. I thought he was gone, but anyway. To say like she's been talking with Bob for quite some time about her succession plan tells me that Bob at least has been trying to get Kathleen Kennedy to leave for at least quite some time. But she hasn't left because, according to her, only she can decide her succession plan. Which is interesting. Which makes me think that maybe there was something in her contract when she was hired. Because remember, it was actually George Lucas that recommended Kathleen Kennedy. So she kind of came from the outside, or at least outside of Disney, and joined Lucasfilm. So what I'm thinking is maybe there's something in her contract that says that only she can decide when she leaves, and like she has that control. Because this whole article to me sounds like only she can make that decision. She can't be fired, which is crazy to me, but also makes a lot of sense why she hasn't been fired if she can't be fired. So Astronomy says she's a diva. Yeah, she is a diva. I think she's also, honestly, this article also read to me as extremely bitter and butthurt. Like, Kathleen Kennedy comes across as someone who knows how deeply disliked she is. And almost like she wants to stay just out of pure spite. Like, that's what this whole article, like, read to me, was just, like, she's deeply spiteful. Like, deeply resentful, hates how people talk about her and the job that she's done, and only wants to stay just because it continues to piss off people she doesn't like. I think that's the only reason she hasn't, like, left Lucasfilm is because I think in her mind, it would be, like, all those people who constantly make thumbnails of her, like, they would win. And she doesn't want to give them a win. I think that's the only reason she hasn't quit yet. I think she is thriving and living on spite. I really do. I really do. And I think this whole article just screams vengeful and angry. Honestly, I don't envy Kathleen Kennedy one bit. I think she has a hard job. I do. But I also think she has made her job harder by being bad at it. So yeah. What do you guys think about this, first of all? Are you surprised by some of her comments? Do you think that, like me, there must be something in her contract that, like, prevents her from being able to be fired? Like, I just find it to be so weird how she has so much control over this. It makes it seem like Bob just simply can't fire her. I think that might be the issue here. This whole time we're like, what does she have on Bob? But maybe Bob has been trying to get rid of her. Maybe that's why she even admitted here that they've been talking about her succession plan for quite some time. Meaning Bob has been trying to get her to leave for quite some time. So I don't know. I find this to be fascinating. What do you guys think about all this? Yes, it is very petty, Arvin. She screams to me as someone who's extremely upset and petty. That's just the truth of it. Rob says you blame South Park. Honestly, I think that I think she's petty enough that South Park episode probably made her renew her contract for like another 2 years. Honestly, I think that's what's going on here. Zach says you think she's a pain in the butt. Okay. Great for Harmony says, honestly, I think Star Wars needs a break. Yeah. I think whoever takes it over, honestly, should, like, take a long break before they even come back. And I've been saying I think Star Wars needs to reboot at this point. I don't think you can save the current timeline. It's just too messy and convoluted. But yeah, I don't think Kathleen Kennedy has the gall to do something like that. So yeah, it's not going to happen with her. Charlie says she's been in the biz so long and has so much power. I get that she has been a part of a lot of really successful movies in the past, but isn't Hollywood always about like what you've done lately? And a lot of her biggest successes are like way in the past now. I mean, just talking about the last 5 years, which 5 years in Hollywood is a long time. There's nothing that says, like, she deserves still this level of reverence that some people throw at her. And if she has been so... I mean, she has at least had her name on a lot of really successful movies, a lot of successful Spielberg movies. You would think with all that experience, getting to shadow like Steven Spielberg, that she would be able to bring to the table more than she has been. But it makes me think, like, what was she really doing on those movies? Because I don't think she was the coming up with ideas person. I just don't, because she hasn't really been proven that she can do that on her own. So, I don't know. Like a producer, there's many different kinds of producers that do many different kinds of things on a movie. And I feel like maybe she was more of like the nuts and bolts producer, like the kind of producer that can get stuff done and on time. But I don't know if she was like the big ideas person. I really don't think she was, because I haven't seen any evidence since she's been on her own that she can really do that. But what are your thoughts here? Oh my god. Not you comparing her to Cynthia. Although I think Cynthia is a lot more likable than even Kathleen Kennedy, to be honest. Kevin says, Kathleen Kennedy isn't going anywhere at all. These rumors been flying around for years. Yeah, I know. That's why I think these rumors, honestly, I think there's been so many rumors. I think some of them must have come from some kernel of truth, which is why I think this whole statement here about, like, she's been having, like, talks about her succession for a while is so telling, because I believe that. To me, that just, she basically just admitted that Bob's been trying to get rid of her for a while, but they can't. Because that's essentially what she said in the nicest, most spin-worthy way that looks good towards her. Because that's what she said. Because why else would Bob be talking about her succession plan for quite some time if he wasn't already thinking about getting rid of her, but can't for some reason? Okay, I've seen a lot of you calling her a Karen. I can see that. Yeah. Oh my god, a lot of you are calling her a Karen. she is kind of a Karen. But yeah, I think she needs to leave. I think she's only going to leave when she's good and ready. And by that point, Star Wars will be past saving. That's my prediction. I mean, again, this is just some of the, just to, I guess, summarize some of the things that she talked about in this article. She said that she will never retire from movies. She will die from making movies, which is a really funny statement. She's producing several upcoming Star Wars projects, which she is. And we're going to talk about some of them in a second. And she has started talking with Disney, or she's been talking about Disney about succession plans. We just talked about that. And then the last thing, which I think is the most concerning, she said that she will stay at Lucasfilm to assist whoever takes over. Whoever takes over Lucasfilm should not take a single word of advice from Kathleen Kennedy. I don't understand who would come into this role and be like, yes, Kathy, tell me all your wisdom and everything you did right. Because that list would be very short. I mean, honestly, they would do better in trying to do the opposite of what Kathleen Kennedy's been doing. I would not follow her advice. And the fact that not only does she still have several projects that she's been working on that are going to come out, so that means even when she does retire, there's still going to be like at least a few more years of Star Wars movies with her name on it that she was a part of. But also that apparently she's still going to be sticking around even when they do choose someone new. So like she's really not going away even when she does retire. So I feel like this is really bad for Star Wars. And I'm not even like a huge Star Wars fan. I'm just trying to think of this as like from like a business perspective of like how objectively this franchise has been tarnished and its reputation been ruined. I know I've said this a couple of times, but I remember back in 2015 when The Force Awakens came out and the hype, the positivity, the excitement around Star Wars was like nothing I'd ever seen. Compare that to today, and it's just not there. It's just not there. People aren't even, like, that last Star Wars show that came out, the Skeleton Key or whatever, or Skeleton Crew, not even people who, like, usually like to hate on Star Wars was talking about that show. Like, no one was talking about it. Star Wars is officially moved from, like there's phases to a franchise dying, right? So we start off with fan love, everything's great. And then the next phase of, like, or I guess the first phase of a franchise dying is fans just want to hate everything, and a lot of of what they're getting is not good, and so there's, like, a lot of fan discourse of people talking about the show, but in a very negative way, or the franchise in a very negative way, which is kind of the phase that I think Marvel is in currently, and a lot of franchises are in currently. But then there's the second phase, which is even the worst phase, which is we're so done with this franchise, we don't even want to talk about it. We don't even want to hate on it. It's just completely irrelevant to us now. And I think Star Wars is on phase 2. So I think whoever takes over is going to have a huge challenge, and if they're listening to Kathleen Kennedy, they're never going to turn things around. So yeah, that's what I think about the state of Star Wars today. What do you guys think about all of that and what I just said? Sorry if you hear me, my cough. I caught something else again. I don't even know what it was, but now I have this lingering cough and it won't go away. Angel Barrera, thank you so much for the super chat. You're making it sound like she's a Force ghost. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, like, honestly, I think Kathleen Kennedy's presence on Star Wars will be felt long after she's gone. I think she's done that much damage, honestly. Astronomy says The Last Jedi started it. Yeah. Again, as I said in my last video, I think you could write an entire book on the fallout of The Last Jedi. I think it was that consequential. Cheetah Viper says Last Jedi was so bad I haven't watched anything since. Well, you're not missing out. I have to say, you're not missing out. Tanisha says, I'm not a Star Wars girl. I'm more of a Star Trek girl. Same, actually. I like Star Trek more than Star Wars. But I do think the Star Wars needs a hard reboot. Fully agree. And needs someone that is a Star Wars nerd to take over. Yes, Kathleen Kennedy is clearly not a Star Wars fan. And I feel like this is a franchise that desperately needs, like, a sweaty nerd at the top, like someone who lives and breathes this franchise, and she's just not it. Um, not the substance. You guys are so funny. But anyway, I just had to bring this up because I was like, oh wow, she's really not going anywhere. She's like, y'all like kicking me out. I am the one that who decides when I leave. And on one hand, I kind of respect the tenacity, but I just wish that like she was had enough humility to know when to step down, and she clearly doesn't. Some of the projects that she's been working on, or at least said were in development, she talked about them. So the Sean Levy movie, you guys remember that was something that was announced a while ago. She said not only is that going to star Ryan Gosling, but it will be set maybe 5 or 6 years after the rise of Skywalker. And I did see another report that said that they're thinking that maybe one of the sequel trilogy characters will be in this film. So it's essentially a continuation of the sequel trilogy, which I think is a terrible idea. I don't think they should be referencing the sequel trilogy at all because it's so divisive and it's what essentially killed the franchise. The fact that they don't see that and they still want to, like, they think that if they just make the right movie, they can make those movies look better in retrospect, and I don't think that's possible. I really don't. And to be honest, I don't think even Ryan Gosling is the kind of actor that's going to appeal to male Star Wars fans. So I don't even think he's like the right choice for this franchise. So we'll see if this movie actually comes out, because you never know with LucasFilm if these movies are real or not. But this is a movie that's being worked on. Don't have a lot of hope for it, mainly because its connections to the sequel trilogy. But Sean Levy does have success as a director. I didn't like Deadpool and Wolverine, as you guys know, but I'm not going to deny that a lot of people loved it and it did really well. So maybe this movie could be good. But I, again, for the reasons I just said, I don't have a lot of hope for this. And then, oh, yes, this one. And then Taika, do you guys remember the Taika Waititi Star Wars movie that's supposed to be happening? Well, apparently that's still in development, and she's waiting on a script from Taika. Interesting wording here. She said, I think if we ever get a script from Taika, which is funny. So I don't think this Taika movie is ever happening. This Taika was announced to be attached to Star Wars after Ragnarok, when like people were loving Taika. But I think after Thor: Love and Thunder, his reputation took a huge hit, and I haven't seen him really do much of anything since then. So I kind of feel like this isn't happening anymore, to be honest. But I don't think she wants to say that these movies aren't happening, because she knows she's already like been attached to a lot of failed movies that never got off the ground. So I think she's just like spinning and saying, oh yeah, this is still happening if we ever get a script. But I don't think this movie is actually going to happen. Some of the people have been talking about who's going to take over, and apparently Kevin Feige has thrown his hat in the ring. He really wants to take over Star Wars after leaving Marvel. And I don't think this is a good idea, just because I feel like Kevin has enough on his plate with Marvel. And I feel like his focus right now should be on fixing Marvel and turning that around, not trying to jump to a new franchise. I mean, as much as I respect Kevin Feige, and he is a legendary producer, will go down as one of the greats, obviously. I feel like he needs a break from franchise movies. I feel like he needs to take a break, maybe go do some Oscar stuff, and then come back, because I feel like he's been making these kinds of big blockbuster franchise movies for so long. I think he's forgotten how to make like real movies again. So I feel like he's just not the right fit for this, personally. Even though I respect him, I think he's done good work in the past, I don't think he's the right choice for this either. And I don't think Dave Filoni is either, because I think I don't think he has the stomach for it, if I'm being honest. I think he makes one bad show or one bad movie and the fans turn on him. I think he'll buckle under the pressure. I just don't think he has the nerves for it. So yeah, I don't know who's going to take over this job. I don't think it's going to be Kevin. I don't think it's going to be Dave. But what are your thoughts about all of this? Are you excited for any of these Star Wars movies in development? Who do you think should take over Kathleen's position? Rob says, didn't Taika admit he doesn't even care about Star Wars? Did he say that? When did he say that? I mean, that sounds like a Taika thing to say, but if he really said that, then he definitely should not make that movie. Oh, Rob, you've been coming with the hot takes all chat. I'm really appreciating this. You said Feige low-key kind of ruined Hollywood. You know, back in my most, like, crazed MCU fan days, I used to defend Marvel so hard against people that were like, oh, Marvel's ruining the industry. And on one hand, I do think that if it wasn't superhero movies that were dominant and popular, it would have been another genre. Just because the reason, or at least one of the reasons why superhero films became so popular is because CGI technology finally caught up to be able to even make movies like that. So if it wasn't superhero films, I do think it would have been another CGI heavy genre that took its place. So I don't think that Marvel is the root cause of Hollywood's issues, but I do think it is a symptom of Hollywood's issues, if that makes sense. I will talk about Shrek, guys. We kind of have a lot to talk about today. Rodney, if you don't care about this, you can just like go watch something else. You don't have to watch my show. So, if you're gonna complain that I'm not gonna talk about what you want to talk about right now, just go some other channel, please, or you're gonna be blocked. Taika's not canceled yet. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised he's not canceled yet either. Alright, I don't see any other comments about Star Wars, so let's move on. But yeah, I don't even know who can take over this job. Truly. I think this is like a thankless job at this point. Whoever takes over is going to have a hard time no matter what, so we'll see what happens. Alright, so now we're going to talk about Shrek, Rodney, if you're still here. Since you're so impatient. So let's talk about Shrek. First of all, let's talk about what I do love. Now, as you guys know, I am a huge Shrek fan. Huge Shrek lover. I'm on record, on camera, saying that if this movie is good and it's well received, I think $2 billion or close to it is not out of the table. I think Shrek at this point is multi-generational and super, super popular. I think that this movie is like an easy billion for sure, but I think if this movie is well received, it can go like way beyond $1 billion. I truly think like the sky is the limit for this movie. Now, another thing that I do like about this trailer is that they're clearly like incorporating social media because like as you see here, they have the magic mirror and they're able to swipe through it like TikTok. I think that's genius. I really think that's genius. And the reason why I think this is genius is because Shrek has always been about referencing pop culture and like making fun of the trends of that time period. We're obviously in a very different era than we were like 15, 20 years ago when this franchise was like, fresh and new. So I think it makes sense that they kind of have to update the pop culture references to match modern day. And I think like not just like talking about social media, but like using Shrek memes specifically is so smart. I think it's so smart. I think it's going to encourage people to make their own Shrek memes. And as we've seen with several movies in the past, memes can do a lot to like bring visibility to a film and help promote a film. So I think them using social media as part of the plot is very, very smart. Love that. Now, here's what I'm not so sure about. How the heck they look. This is... I'm sorry. I was wondering if maybe like if the initial shock would wear off and maybe I would start to grow to like the designs, but it's been a few days now and I still don't like how they look. Specifically specifically Donkey and Fiona. I think they look terrible. I think they made Fiona look like some sort of gremlin, not even ogre, and I think they made Donkey look very, very weird. I think these look like the Croods, and I don't mean that in a positive way, because I did not like how the Croods were also designed. I think this looks very Illumination. Again, not a compliment. I think this looks very cartoony when I thought the original point of Shrek was to make fun of real life, which is why so many of the characters kind of looked like real people. At least, even Shrek himself had like, he kind of looked like a human dude, just like as an ogre. Now they do just look like cartoon characters. You know what I mean? So I completely understand them having to update the technology because the franchise is very old at this point, and like, even if you look at some of those older films, the animation did not age well. However, I don't think that updating the technology should have meant that they had to completely redesign the characters. Because I don't like the redesign. I do think it's distracting. I haven't gotten used to it yet, and I'm not sure if I'm going to. And if I just can give you like a quick side-by-side comparison, you can see the clear differences between how they used to look versus how they look now. And I don't like it, particularly Donkey. I think Donkey looks way worse. I think he looks not good, in my opinion. So I'm just not a huge fan of the redesign. I understand them having to update the technology, but I don't understand why they had to redesign their faces. That's what I disagree with. And someone actually did, like, just a quick edit to try to, like, change Shrek's face. So this is the edit on the left, and then on the right is, like, what they did in the trailer. And I think that just the small bit of differences here make all the world of difference, honestly. Just from widening his chin, separating his eyes a little bit more so they're not so close together, and flattening his nose to look more similar to his old nose, those 3 changes alone, I think, drastically improve Shrek's look. I think he actually looks like himself. I think he still looks like his old self, just in a new, updated animation style. Whereas in this one, I just think he looks weird. I think the eyes are too close together. I think his nose is not the same, so he just looks different. I just don't think that the version on the right even looks like Shrek. I think he looks like a different character. But what do you guys think? Do you like the redesign? Do you like how these characters look? Are you already over it, or do you think they look kind of bad like I do? What are your thoughts here? Abel Connor says it looks like it's for babies. Yeah, I think the cartooniness definitely makes it look like it's for a younger audience, which is a shame because, which honestly is a real shame because the Shrek films are supposed to appeal to everyone. Like, the older films have a lot of adult jokes that, you know, as a kid they fly over your head, but when you watch them again as adults, you're like, oh, that's what that was about. At least I know a lot of people in my generation have that experience, right? Watching these movies as kids and then growing up and being like, oh, that's what that joke was. So these films are supposed to be for, like, kids and older adults, but I do think making them look more cartoonish makes this look more like just another kids film. And Shrek isn't actually not supposed to be just a kids film. I do think Shrek is for like kids can enjoy it, but I actually do think it's kind of meant more for older audiences. I mean, even in this very trailer, they say the word damn. They say a cuss word. They do not add cuss words on like just any kids, trailer. That's because Shrek is not, I would not put Shrek as a kid's brand. Just because it is supposed to be a little bit edgier than that. But I think these redesigns are so soft and gummy looking that it does look like a kid's movie. And I think that's another issue that I have with it. Nick Just, thank you so much for the super chat. Really appreciate it. I love the 2000 style. I hate the Illumination vibe. Yes, it does look like Illumination. And I think Illumination is able to make their movies for cheap by skimping out on a lot of the animation, because I don't think their movies usually look that good. The only Illumination movies I think actually look good are the Secret Life of Pets movies, or at least the first one. Otherwise, I think those movies usually are like, they pale in comparison to like, Disney Animation and Pixar. So that's why when I say this looks like Illumination, I do not mean that as a positive. What else are your thoughts here? Oh, Movie Freak says looks like Disney Junior. Oh no, not Disney Junior. Arvin says it's giving Trolls. Yeah, yeah. Um. Okay, but Travis says you like the redesigns except for Donkey. Yeah, I think Fiona and Donkey look hands down the worst for sure. Oh yeah, and Shrek's accent wasn't that strong. No, it was just one line, but I do hope Mike Myers didn't forget the iconic Shrek accent because yeah, he kind of needs that too. Um Zach says the animation is not finished either because this isn't canon. DreamWorks actually called this a promo. Well, then I hope this actually ties into my next thing that I want to talk about. Because if that's true, I hope they pull a Sonic. I mean, even the Sonic movie reacted to this. They said for any green ogres looking for advice. Because so many people were upset about this. They were comparing this to Sonic. They were like, should we bully the studios into changing the designs? And I have to say, they don't have to change the animation style. I understand updating the animation style. I want to make that clear. But the actual designs of the characters, I do think could be tweaked just a little bit to look better. Especially Fiona and Donkey. Because I do think they look quite bad. So I hope if the animation isn't done, they take some of this criticism to heart. Especially since you really only need like a tiny, tiny adjustment. And it makes a world of difference. Again, look at this. All he did was like widen the eyes, flatten the nose, and give him a wider jaw, and he looks so much better. He actually looks like Shrek on the left. Or on the right, that's like Shrek's cousin. I don't know who that is. But on the left, that looks like Shrek. So I feel like if they just make these tiny, tiny changes, it could really make the world a difference. So I hope they pull a Sonic. I hope they go back and they change a lot of these designs, but I don't know if they're actually going to do that. And honestly, I think this movie's still going to make $1 billion anyway, so maybe they don't have to. But I would prefer if they like change the designs a little bit. Yeah, Fiona's making the DreamWorks smirk. That's true. Oh, you think the Sonic face was way worse? I don't know. Fiona looks really bad. Oh yeah, and the Zendaya surprise. I do like Zendaya. You guys know I love Zendaya, so I'm happy that she's in this movie. Speaking of Zendaya, she's got like the best agent in Hollywood because she is working. Sis is busy. So in 2026 alone, Zendaya is going to be in Shrek 5, The Odyssey, Spider-Man 4, Dune Messiah, and Euphoria Season 3. Wow. I think all of those are going to be big hits too. So I think Zendaya has not only a really good agent, but I think she's also extremely smart, and I think she understands like I think part of what I think if you're an actress or an actor who wants longevity in this industry today, I think part of a skill that you need to have is not just be a good actor, but you have to also have really good business sense to know like what movies might do well and what movies might not do well. Because I feel like Zendaya has that sense down. Like her business prowess is really impressive. Like she understands what people are interested in, what people want to see, what people don't want to see, and she constantly gets herself in movies that she knows will do well. So like that makes her look good. And to be honest, I don't think all actresses and actors have this ability. I think there are some actors who are really good that just consistently choose terrible projects to be in. I think Tom Holland, her hubby or future hubby, is an example of that. Of someone who I actually think is really talented but like chooses the worst projects. Zendaya is really good at it. And I think that's why she's going to have a long, long career. But are you guys fans of Zendaya? Are you going to watch all of this? What are your thoughts about this? Yeah, overexposure could be a thing. That's the only thing I'm worried about. I love her so much that I'm like, I wouldn't be tired of seeing her, but I do think overexposure could be real because this is a lot of projects in 1 year. Yeah, Miss Player says Zendaya is a likable person. I don't care if she's everywhere. Exactly. That's how I feel, at least. Oh, V Trip says you bet she got Tom Holland the role in the Odyssey? Wasn't Tom Holland announced first? I actually was thinking it was the other way around. Like Tom got cast and then Zendaya was like, "Well, I want to be in it too." I don't know. I kind of feel like it was Tom first actually. Um okay, Blueberry Muffin says this is a lot. Yeah. I mean, it is a lot, but we'll see. We'll see if she can balance this. I think it's really smart that I think she's taking a bit of a break right now. Like I don't think she's done a lot in 2025. Like I can't even think of something else immediately that she's in this year. So I think she's taking a bit of a break this year, which I think is smart because she's going to be everywhere next year. Yeah, thank you for the super chat, CZK. Thank you so much. Zendaya has a very likable personality. Yeah, I think that, see, having a likable personality will really get you far in Hollywood because they'll just want to cast you in everything. And then there's people who are not as likable that don't get cast in anything. So I think being likable is very key for being successful in Hollywood. But anyway, let's move on. So let's talk about the Minecraft trailer. There is a new Minecraft trailer, and I have to say, I'm just not into this movie. I feel like I'm not the target audience. I've never played Minecraft. I've watched the videos of people playing Minecraft, but I've never played it myself. I think this movie looks really weird. Not a good weird. I think it looks very uncanny. I think it looks strange. I think it looks overthought. I think it doesn't look like anything that I would enjoy. If I'm being totally real, this movie looks so off-putting to me. Like, just every decision they made is strange. It should have been animated. Making it live action people and like this weird live action CGI hybrid world does not work for me one bit. I really wish this was just entirely animated. And I like Jack Black. I like him a lot. And he looks so cringe in this. I'm like, why? Please don't ruin Jack Black for me. Please don't. And I'm thinking maybe this is something for kids. Like, maybe kids will be very excited for this, and maybe that's why I'm just not interested. I still think this could do very well just because Minecraft is such a huge brand. But man, does this not look good to me one bit. Like, it just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Like, people who are Minecraft fans in my audience, who have actually played this game, does this, when you thought of a Minecraft movie, was this what you had imagined? Is this what Minecraft fans want for Minecraft? Because last year, I do remember, before Borderlands came out, I was thinking that was going to be a huge hit just because I know there's at least an audience or at least a fan base for that game. But then that movie didn't do very well. So now I'm wondering if Minecraft, even though I know Minecraft is a lot bigger than Borderlands, but still I'm thinking if video game fans still don't like it, it might not do well. I don't know. I mean, I feel like I have no idea how to pinpoint how well this movie is going to do because it looks so bad to me personally that I'm having a hard time putting myself in the mind of like someone this movie is actually aimed for. So, again, if you are a Minecraft fan, if you play the games, are you excited for this? Zach also agrees it should have been animated. Danny says, I'm shocked The Rock didn't jump on this movie. Right? This feels like a movie The Rock should be in. Although, as I was talking about in my last episode, I do think that The Rock is trying to, like, take more serious actory roles now. So maybe that's why he said no to this. Cheetah Viper says, I showed my 6 and 11-year-old the trailer. Both didn't like it. Oof. Rough. Ethereal Dragon says the sheep scares kids. Yeah, I think the animals look so uncanny. Like, so uncanny. Like, look at this. Again, I look at this image, right? And I'm like, all I can think of, who is this for? Who's gonna see this and be like, oh man, I gotta see that? The only people I can imagine saying that are like little kids who like Minecraft. That's it. I feel like they missed an opportunity because Minecraft has been around for a while. People who played Minecraft in the beginning, like when it first came out, are like adults now. So like they missed the opportunity to like make this a super intergenerational film that like people of all ages can enjoy, because I really do feel like they went with a very kiddie version of this story that they could have gone with. So maybe little kids will be excited and they'll be the ones that'll make this movie a hit, but I don't know. Me as someone who's never played this game looks at this and I'm like, why would I want to watch this? For 2 hours? You want me to look at this for 2 hours? I don't know. Who is actually excited for this? Anyone in my chat? Please be honest. Angel Pereira says the new Hulk movie looks great. No. The actual Hulk looks a lot better than this. Okay. See, a lot of you guys are saying this is terrifying. I actually feel like this stuff could scare little kids. Like, this is terrifying. This is scary to me. And this is even the worst. Like, look at this part. Look at these animals. Sorry. It's loading. Look at these guys. The pandas. I also feel like the pandas are weird. Like, all the animals just look so strange to me. Come on. I don't know why it's suddenly not loading. Load. But anyway, you can see that the animals just look very uncanny and weird. And I'm not sure who the actual audience is. You would think it's the Minecraft fans, people who have played this game. But I do genuinely think it looks awful. I personally think it looks awful. So that's why I'm like, I know Minecraft is huge. It should do really well. But everything about this movie looks so bad. I don't know. Suddenly needs to load. You know, I'm using a Mac. This is a very expensive computer. You would think I wouldn't have any issues ever, but that is not the case. Oh, what the heck? Is it my Wi-Fi? Why is nothing loading? Anyway, I'm gonna give it a second. Sketch9 says, really, I think any Minecraft fan that is not a child hates this. Yeah. Oh wait, it's lagging? It's lagging? Oh god. Why? It might be my Wi-Fi, cause like why? I don't know, it's just random. I never know when this stuff is going to actually want to work or not. Is it still lagging for you guys? Nicholas Wilson, yes, it does look awful. It totally agree. Does look awful. Okay, but you guys can hear me fine, right? Just let me know in the chat that, like, at least things are fine, like, audibly. It's better? Okay. Better? Okay, it's all good now. I'm seeing that you guys are saying it's all good now. Okay, that's good. Let's move on from Minecraft. No, fingers crossed. We can get the rest of the stream. I am almost done. Let me just speed through it. I'm praying to the gods that we can just, like, get through the rest of the stream. I don't know. It just suddenly stopped. Because I have all my tabs open. I don't know, I just can't get it to load. Anyway, I wanted to talk about the fact that Jennifer Coolidge is also in this movie, the Minecraft movie. And there's, like, a gag where, like, she falls in love with some sort of Minecraft villager in the real world. I think that's also weird. I feel like Jennifer Coolidge is meant to appeal to the adults in the crowd, but, like, the adults in the crowd are not liking everything else. So, again, I just feel like this movie is very confused. And I'm not sure if, like, they made this film with the right target audience in mind. Because I don't understand, like, why they would do some of these things. Like, who are they really trying to appeal to, is what I'm saying. Oh my god. What? Why isn't anything loading? I'm so sorry, y'all. I don't know. I don't know. It just decided to stop working. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the main shot. And I'm just going to read to you what the news is. Because I can't show you because it's not loading for some reason. So that's how we're going to have to finish this. I hope you're okay. I'm so sorry. I would fix this if I knew what to fix. That's kind of where I'm at with this. So, something else I also wanted to bring up was that Ayo Edebiri, or Adebri, I'm not really sure how to say her name. She's going to be making a Barney movie? Question mark. And what's questionable about this to me is that she's making a live action Barney movie. That's how it's being described. And I'm like, live action? That confuses me because Barney already is live action. It's not like an animated show. So for them to say it's going to be live action makes me think that, like, they're going to turn Barney into an actual dinosaur or something? I don't know. It's the use of saying live action that really confuses me. Because I'm like, oh, it finally loaded. I don't know. I just had, like, a weird internet lapse. But, like, everything just finally loaded. Thank God. This is what confuses me. Daniel Kaluuya is producing, who I really like. But why say live action? Are they gonna make Barney like a live action dinosaur? I'm just confused of what they mean by live action because Barney is already live action. So this is a little weird. Although I do like Ayo. I don't watch The Bear, but I've seen her in, like, lots of videos and stuff. She seems like a very nice woman. So, like, this is good for her, but I do think this is a little weird, especially for A24. So not only is this a live-action Barney movie, but it's A24, which usually means there's a spin on it. I don't know what this means. I have a lot of questions. Would you guys want to see, like, a real live-action dinosaur? I don't know. What do you think they mean by live action here, and would you guys be interested in something like this? Angel Pereira, thank you so much for the super chat. Really, really, thank you. You guys are so sweet. I love the super chats. I really appreciate them. Thank you so much. There are so many fan-made Minecraft animations and videos. It's baffling that this is what we're getting. Right? Like, I feel like fans have already made better short films and fan films online for Minecraft than what we're getting from actual Hollywood. Like, I just feel like every choice made for that Minecraft movie was the wrong one, which is actually kind of impressive. Ethereal Dragon says Barney is still relevant. I guess. Do little kids still watch Barney? I honestly have no idea. Yeah, I don't want a CGI Barney either. So this is why I'm a little nervous when they mean live action. Like, what do you mean? Oh, Rob says, I've actually had lunch with the creators of Barney. Super sweet people. That's awesome. That's a really cool thing to admit. I love Barney. I mean, at least I did it when I was a little kid. I'm just a little confused by what this is going to be. I hope it's not a horror movie. I really, really, really hope it's not a horror movie. I'm tired of this trend of, like, making horror adaptations out of sweet, innocent childhood stuff. I think that's played out, and I don't think people actually want to see it. So I hope that's not what this is. Okay, so Barney is still a popular movie freak. Thank you. I'm actually really happy to hear that. So that's nice. But anyway, let's move on. So, Pixar has already started brainstorming ideas for Inside Out 3. I'm not surprised by this. Didn't I say in my Inside Out 2 review that they're definitely making a 3? So, I'm not surprised by this. They've knocked it out of the park with the first 2 Inside Out, so I have no reason to believe that 3 won't be just as good. So, I'm actually very excited for Inside Out 3. I loved the second one. It's actually the movie I'm cheering for Best Animated Feature. Yes, over The Wild Robot. As much as I love The Wild Robot, and I really do love that movie, I have to say, I still think Inside Out 2, at least for me, like, hit home harder. So I'm still rooting for Inside Out 2, though I do think The Wild Robot's the one that's going to win the Best Animated Feature. I actually feel like the Best Animated Feature Oscar used to be essentially the Best Pixar Film Oscar. And now that it seems like they can't get any, like, respect, which is very interesting. I think says a lot about how Disney is viewed these days. But are you guys excited for a third Inside Out 3? Do you think that there needs to be a third one in this series, or do you think Inside Out 2 should have just been it? Zach says Inside Out 3 might be about love. Maybe. As I said, I was wondering where, like, a love emotion was. I feel like this could be, like, a good time to bring that in. Oh yeah, a nostalgia can get some more screen time. I think that would be fun. Nick just says, Inside Out is one of the only franchises where I won't mind if there's Inside Out 10. Well, as long as the quality stays high, then yes. Because I think the entire concept of, like, seeing what's happening inside someone's mind is, like, really fascinating. I don't think it'll be adulthood. I think it'll just be, like, maybe Riley's now, like, older in high school. Like, maybe a senior or something. I can see that. But I don't think she'll be, like, a full adult yet. At least I hope not. But yeah, I'm really, really excited about Inside Out 3. Not surprised this is coming at all. Also, we're getting a Walk to Remember reboot? Question mark? I love this movie. Have you guys seen this movie? This is an old movie. It's from, like, the early 2000s. But I really like this film. I can't watch this movie without crying. If you haven't seen it, I actually don't want to spoil it for you. So, it's it's not a rom-com. It's definitely not a comedy. But it's a romantic drama. It was kind of a hit in the 2000s. And I think this is the kind of romance movie that I want to see make a comeback. So I'm really excited about this. I think A Walk to Remember could do well in today's time, but I think the casting would have to be so important. I think whoever's going to play I forgot the female character's name. Oh, what's her name? I can't remember her name, but I think whoever plays this role needs to exude innocence because that's the whole point of that character. Unfortunately, I don't think there's a lot of actors who do that right now. So I'm thinking maybe like an up-and-comer would be good for that role. I can see a lot of guys play this male role here, but I think the most important casting is who's going to play the female lead. Have you guys seen A Walk to Remember? Do you guys even know this movie, or should I just move on? This was one of those things where, oh my god, this was like, this is one of those things where I was like, I don't know if I should include this in my show or not, if people are even gonna know this movie. But I love, this is like one of my all-time favorite movies. So when I saw this, I was like, we're talking about this. Rob says she'll be tougher now. I hope not. I hope not. One of the things that I love so much about this, okay, for those who are not familiar with this, I'm going to try to explain it without spoiling everything. So, Mandy Moore, Jamie, that's her name. Thank you, Jamie. Mandy Moore plays like this very like sweet, innocent Christian girl do-gooder. And then you have, what's his name? What's the male character's name? He's like, the not just the bad boy, but he's also like the most popular guy in school. So it's that kind of storyline where you have like the soft, shy girl and the popular mean boy getting together. That's kind of like the general setup, at least. So that's why I think the casting is so key. Whoever plays Jamie, I actually think this could be a huge breakthrough role for them because it's such a good role. But like I said, the main issue I see here is that there are not a lot of actresses currently that I think actually do exude that kind of innocence. So I don't know who can play this role. But like I said, do you guys even know this movie? Do you think this would be a hit? Do you even care? This is definitely one of those stories I picked just because I personally care about it. Not because I thought like this was like a huge, huge deal, but like just because I like it. Landon, thank you. Landon. Yes, I think there are a lot of actors who could play Landon. I think Jamie is the one that's going to be hard to cast. Zendaya? I actually think Zendaya is too old because I want to keep them in high school, and I want Zendaya out of high school. Zendaya needs to stop playing high schoolers. HP says Jamie's innocence and kindness is a key part of the movie. Exactly. That's why it really needs Evil Connor. Evil Connor. It is not going to be Rachel Zegler. Could you imagine? Although, yes, I could, because modern day Hollywood would definitely try to cast Rachel Zegler. But she is the exact kind of person who should not play this role. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say about that. No, Florence Pugh's too old. I don't think she exudes innocence either. She definitely goes for a much more edgy aesthetic. Okay, some of you have never seen this, so I'm gonna move on soon. It is a very sad movie. I will say, you have been warned. If you do watch this movie, be prepared to cry. Because I cry every time. Yes, as Evil Connor says, I walk to remember The Notebook, Brokeback Mountain, but like the trifecta of 2000s romantic drama / tragedies. Yes, I want those kinds of movies back. I want more of these kinds of movies back. That's why I got excited when I saw this. I was like, what? Like, what? So I think this movie could do well if they cast it right, which is the only hang up I have because I feel like they're going to mess up Jamie. As Rob said, I think they're going to make her some tough chick, and I hate that. I really hope they don't do that. Why are you guys naming people who are like in their 30s? I want to make it clear these are like high school students. I just want to make that clear. Yeah. Isabel May. Becky. I like that choice. Isabel May. That's a good choice for Jamie. I like that one. But anyway, let's move on. I just thought this was really cool, so I had to share. Love this movie. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend. So let's talk about the Oscars. This is the last bit, and then we're going to be done. This is actually a very long stream. I didn't even realize this stream was going to be this long. So if you're still here, if you've been here the whole time, even during my little connectivity issues, bless you. I love you guys. So the Oscars are today. Let's do a little bit of like just what we think is going to happen. So Best Picture lineup. These are the movies that are up for Best Picture. I have now seen most of them. I've been trying to work through all these movies and see as many as I can. I've now seen all of these except for Nickel Boys, I'm Still Here. I've been trying to see The Brutalist, but like it's literally not even online and like very few theaters actually carry it, so I haven't been able to see The Brutalist, although I've tried. And A Complete Unknown. But I've seen the others. I've seen all the rest now. I just saw Anora, which Anora, by all measurements, is the current favorite to win Best Picture, just because it's won a lot of the precursors so far. And now that I've seen Anora, I can say I actually did like the movie. To be honest, the reason why I was kind of slow to watching the film was just because when I watched the trailer for it, all I could think was, oh, this is another one of those, like... Honestly, I don't think the trailer does the movie justice. I thought the trailer for this movie made it look like some indie film. Kind of reminded me of, like, Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist. Like, it just had that vibe, you know? And I was just like, I don't think I'm gonna like that. But then, actually, after watching the film, I do think the movie has a lot more depth and interest to it than I thought there was going to be. Like, I was actually pleasantly surprised, honestly. Because it was a lot deeper and more, like, poignant than I thought it was going to be. So I actually do like Anora. It's still not my favorite. I still would vastly prefer Wicked to win. But if Anora did win, at least I would accept that over, like, Emilia Perez winning. I definitely think Anora is a much better movie than Emilia Perez, for sure. Also Conclave. I saw Conclave, and I did not care for it. So, yeah, if it's between Anora and Conclave, which it seems like it is, I vastly prefer Anora, for sure. But what do you guys think about the Best Picture lineup? Who are you rooting for? Have you seen Anora, and what are your thoughts? Who do you think's gonna win? Some Duck here liked Anora. You thought it was amazing. Rodney, no, my best pick to win is still Wicked, just because I love Wicked so much. But I would say my second choice, like if I was ranking it like one of the Academy members, I would say Anora's number one. Not Anora. Wicked's number one, but I would think, at this point, I think Anora is my number two. Yeah, Cheetah Viper says, as long as Emilia Perez doesn't win. That's a great point. That's a great point. Literally, as long as Emilia Perez doesn't win. Although, my mom says that she's cheering for Emilia Perez because she wants the drama. I don't know. Do you guys think the drama would be worth an Emilia Perez win? I don't think so. I really don't want it to win. I hope Wicked wins as well, but it ain't gonna win. I think the only thing Wicked is gonna win is Best Costume Design, unfortunately. Maybe Production Design, but I can even see that losing. But I think the only thing that it has locked up for sure is Costume. I do think Zoe Saldana is going to be Ariana Grande, unfortunately. Which is crazy, because, again, I've seen Emilia Perez, and I don't understand what people are seeing about Zoe Saldana's performance in that. Like, I think Zoe Saldana is actually a really good actress, and I think I've seen her do better in so many other movies that it's weird that this is the movie that she's going to win the Oscar for. Because I feel like this is one of her worst performances, personally. I don't think Wicked 2 is going to get the same kind of Oscar love, just like Dune Part 2 isn't getting the same kind of Oscar love that Dune Part 1 did. So I think all the Oscar chances Wicked has are with the first one. Arvin, I guess you also want to see the drama? Rodney says, apparently the Amelia star is going. Yes. Carla Sofia Gasson, I think her name is going to be there at the Oscars, which is so awkward. I can't imagine how awkward that Emilia Perez table's got to be. Okay, V-Trip, you think Anora will win? Yeah, I think Anora has the momentum to win, though I can see Conclave taking it too. I think it's between those two. But I think Anora might end up taking it. Now, the question is for Best Actress. Do you guys think Demi Moore will win for The Substance? Or do you think Mikey Madison will win for Anora? Because I think it's between those two for Best Actress. And I think if Anora takes home Best Picture, we'll know if Mikey Madison wins Best Actress. I think that'll be like the red herring. Like if Mikey Madison actually manages to beat Demi Moore, then I think Anora is winning Best Picture. But I think if Demi Moore still wins that category, then I think Conclave's going to win Best Picture. That's how I think that's going to go. I Honestly, after seeing Honora, I think Maggie Madison had the best performance out of the best picture lineup. I mean, the best actress lineup. Yes, I love Cynthia, or at least in that movie. And I thought she was really, really good. And she was my number one choice for that category until I saw Honora. And now I think it should be Maggie Madison. But who do you think is going to win? Oh, I'm seeing a lot of people rooting for Demi Moore. Interesting. I think it could be Demi. I think it very well could be Demi. But I would not be shocked if Maggie Madison snuck in and got it. Hi, Brown. I've been doing one of these shows at least once a week, so I've kind of been regular. Cheetah Viper says they wanted Ariana fans. Yeah, I think Ariana fans are still going to tune in, even though I don't think she's going to win it all. Apparently, because I've been... Okay. Have you guys seen this Variety article where it's talking about a bunch of anonymous Oscar ballots and like Oscar voters and how they're voting for the Oscars this year? If you have not read this article, I actually highly recommend it. It's very entertaining. They do this article every year and I always read it. Because it's just, the reasons why people vote for certain things or not for certain things are just always crazy and out of pocket. And this year was no different. And honestly, from what they were saying, this is coming from someone who's seen a lot of the ballots, they were actually saying Ariana was not as heavily voted as they expected. I don't even think Ariana would be the second choice behind Zoe Saldana if Zoe somehow didn't win, which is interesting. Really just generally Wicked is not getting the respect I think it deserves. But yeah, speaking of these anonymous Oscar voters, let's talk about some of the things they've been saying. So, speaking of Cynthia Erivo, someone didn't vote for her for Best Actress simply because they thought she was too old for the role. Which, to be honest, before I saw her in this movie, I did think she was too old, because I was like, she's almost 40, how is she playing a college student? But I thought she did it convincingly. So I don't even think that's like a valid excuse once you actually see the movie. But that was just one crazy thing I saw. And then there were two anonymous Oscar voters that said they didn't even vote for Ralph Fiennes because they thought he had won before when he hadn't. So these people are just voting based on vibes. Like, you would think, like, voting for something as serious as the Oscars, people would take it more seriously. But they're, like, coming up with the craziest reasons to vote the way they are. 4 anonymous Oscar voters all said that they didn't watch Dune Part 2 and abstained from ranking it in their Best Picture ballot simply because they didn't like Dune 1 and they couldn't get through it. That's crazy. I have been wondering why Dune Part 2 has not been getting more love this awards season, and it seems like a lot of Oscar voters just don't like this franchise. They think the movies are boring, they don't get them, and I'm like, how? Again, if you read that article I just showed you, there are people who are like, oh, I don't like Dune 2, it's so boring, but I love Amelia Perez. I'm like, who are these people? Who are these people? That sounds crazy. Like, literally all the people who are voting for Amelia Perez, like, in that article were basically voting for it because they're like, oh, it's the most different, it's the most creative, it's the most weird. And I'm like, but it's not good weird. It's, like, just weird. And the story and the morals of that story are all kinds of messed up. Again, I find that movie so puzzling because I'm like, I truly believe the only people that really like Amelia Perez are the people voting for it for all these awards. Because no one else likes it. V-Trip says, I think it came out too early this year. Yeah, I think that's also part of the issue. I think Dune Part 2 came out too early. Wait, Rob, you think these voters are cooking? Did you not like Dune? I thought you liked Dune, Rob. Boy says, I don't know if this is a hot take, but if you're voting for the Oscars, you should have to watch the films you're voting for. Yes! The fact that there are some Oscar voters who actually admit they don't even watch everything, I feel like those people should be excluded from being able to vote again. Because, like, you're just not doing your job. Yeah. Even people were actually voting for, like, Amelia Perez for Best Original Song, too. And I'm like, why? Those songs were terrible. I just don't get it. I don't get it. So we'll see what happens. I will say something that I am very happy about is that they are bringing back using film clips as acting nominees are introduced this year. I don't know why they ever got rid of this. This was always one of my favorite parts of the Oscars, is seeing like the actual like clip of their performance that they were not like nominated for. I thought that was perfect. That was like perfectly illustrating why they were nominated. And instead, for the past few years, they decided to get rid of that and instead just like have random celebrities stand and talk about the movies instead. And I'm like, I thought this was a show not tell business. Why are we talking about movies instead of showing the movies? I hated that whole thing where like people would stand up and like have someone say something nice about the nominee. I was like, I genuinely hated that. I thought it took too much time and I thought it was boring and no one cared. Like, why would you not just show their performance instead of have someone talk about their performance? So I'm glad that they're doing this. But the crazy thing is the only reason that they're doing this is because of the Amelia Perez scandal, because they were originally going to do something different. They were going to do what they did last year, I believe, which is what they were going to have like someone talk about each of the actresses, which I guess now they're not going to do because no one wants to have to talk about Carla. So now they're doing this instead. And I'm like, this was always the better option. This should have been what they were doing in the beginning. So I don't understand some of the choices they make about the Oscars. But I'm glad this is one that they're bringing back. Do you guys care about this? Are you excited about this aspect at least? Yeah, Rob, exactly. Clips are like the whole point for me. So I'm glad that they're doing this. I just find it weird that the only reason we're getting this is because of the Amelia Perez scandal. This still wasn't their plan A, which is crazy to me. V Trip says at least one good thing came from Amelia Perez. Yeah, right? Right? Du Bois says, I'm surprised that's something they got rid of. It never should have been something they got rid of. I don't understand why they did. I think they were trying to shrink the time of the show, but the show still runs long no matter what they do, so they might as well add the clips in. But anyway, that is actually the last thing that I had to talk about today. So we are done. We are done. Oh my gosh, we actually managed to finish. Yay! For a minute there, I was like, oh no. I was really worried the internet was going to make me have to stop. So I'm glad that we did and we finished. We got through 2 hours. I did not think this show was going to be that long. Wow. We got through 2 hours of this show, which is great. Yeah, this was a really fun show. I'm going to watch the Oscars tonight, and I'm going to tweet about it as I'm watching it, so make sure you follow me on Twitter if you want to see my thoughts and all of that. And we're going to talk about the Oscars and everything else probably next Monday, because I think that's probably the next time that I'll be able to. So I'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys for joining me today, and I'll see you then. Bye.